The restaurant fell silent as Emily's words hung in the air between them. "You can leave. I'm a single mom." Michael's coffee cup froze halfway to his lips, his mind racing back to all the times he'd heard those exact words himself, only he'd been the one saying them. For 2 years since losing his wife, he'd watched potential relationships crumble the moment he mentioned his daughter. Now, sitting across from this beautiful woman who just revealed her secret with such resignation in her eyes, Michael did something that would change both their lives forever. If this story touches your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more authentic stories about love, parenthood, and second chances. Your support helps us share these powerful human experiences with others who might need them. Michael Taylor hadn't planned on dating again, not so soon, anyway. At 34, he had settled into a comfortable rhythm with his 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Their life together in the small suburban home he'd once shared with his late wife, Sarah, had found its own kind of peace. Most evenings followed the same reliable pattern: dinner together at their kitchen table, homework help, a bedtime story, and then those precious quiet hours after Lily fell asleep when Michael would catch up on work or simply sit with a book, accompanied by memories. 2 years had passed since the car accident that took Sarah away. The grief counselor had told him that the second year would be easier than the first, but easier was relative. The crushing weight had indeed lifted somewhat, replaced by a dull ache that surfaced at unexpected moments, when Lily made a face that looked just like her mother's, or when Michael found himself reaching for his phone to tell Sarah something before remembering she wasn't there to answer. "Daddy, is Emma coming over again to watch me tonight?" Lily asked one Friday morning over breakfast, her small fingers struggling with the wrapper of her granola bar. "Yes, sweetheart," Michael replied, gently taking the bar and opening it for her. "I have a meeting tonight." He wasn't ready to call it a date, not to Lily, not even to himself. Jessica from his office had been insistent, practically ambushing him by the coffee machine the previous week. "My friend Emily is perfect for you," she had said, ignoring his uncomfortable shifting. "She's smart, she's funny, and she's been single way too long. Just like someone else I know." She'd given him a pointed look that made him flush. "I don't know, Jess," he'd mumbled. "I'm not sure I'm ready." "It's coffee, Michael. Not a marriage proposal. 2 years is long enough to at least try talking to another adult human who isn't your daughter's teacher or your boss." Now, as he adjusted his tie in the hallway mirror that evening, Michael felt a flutter of anxiety he hadn't experienced since his first date with Sarah 16 years ago. Emma, the 19-year-old college student from down the street who babysat Lily regularly, arrived right on time. "You look nice, Mr. Taylor," she observed with a knowing smile. "Big meeting, huh?" "Something like that," he admitted, running a hand through his hair. "I shouldn't be too late." Lily came bounding down the stairs, already in her pajamas despite it being only 6 o'clock. "Daddy, you're wearing your special tie," she exclaimed. "The one Mommy got you." Michael touched the blue silk tie, feeling a pang of guilt. He hadn't consciously chosen it for that reason, but perhaps some part of him needed Sarah's blessing tonight. "Is it okay?" he asked Lily softly, kneeling down to her level. His daughter considered this seriously, her small brow furrowed in concentration. Then she reached out and straightened the tie with solemn precision. "Mommy would say you look handsome," she declared finally. "And I think so too." Michael hugged her tightly, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo and feeling his eyes sting. "I love you, Lilipad." "Love you more," she replied, their familiar exchange. "Bring me a dessert if they have one." With a final wave, Michael stepped out into the early evening, his heart a complicated tangle of anticipation and remorse. He hadn't told Jessica that he'd never actually been on a first date as a single dad before. His only attempt at romance since Sarah's death had been an awkward lunch with a widow from his grief support group, which had felt more like an extension of therapy than a genuine connection. Café Lucerne was busy for a Friday evening, the warm glow of its windows spilling onto the sidewalk. Michael arrived 15 minutes early, a habit from his corporate life that Sarah had always teased him about. The hostess led him to a quiet corner table, and he ordered a sparkling water to calm his nerves while he waited. At precisely 7 o'clock, the door opened, and Michael's breath caught. The woman who entered wasn't what he had expected from Jessica's description. Emily Chen had a quiet grace about her, dressed in a simple emerald blouse and dark jeans. Her black hair fell in gentle waves past her shoulders, and when she smiled tentatively at the hostess, Michael noticed the slight dimple in her right cheek. She wasn't the loud, vivacious personality Jessica had described. Instead, there was something measured and thoughtful in the way she moved, as if she was carefully considering each step. Michael stood as the hostess led Emily to his table, awkwardly knocking his knee against the table leg in the process. "Hi," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Michael. It's nice to meet you." Emily's handshake was warm and firm. "Emily," she replied with a smile that reached her dark brown eyes. "Jessica has told me a lot about you." "All good things, I hope?" Michael asked, wincing internally at the cliché. "Mostly," Emily laughed, settling into her chair. "She said you're brilliant at work but terrible at office birthday celebrations." Michael groaned. "She told you about the candle incident?" "The sprinklers going off in the break room is now legendary, apparently." Just like that, the ice was broken. They ordered drinks, a glass of Merlot for her, a craft beer for him, and fell into conversation with surprising ease. Emily was a landscape architect with her own small firm, specializing in sustainable urban gardens. Her passion became evident as she described a recent project transforming a neglected city lot into a community garden. "Sorry," she said after a particularly enthusiastic description of rainwater collection systems. "I tend to get carried away talking about my work." "Don't apologize," Michael replied. "It's refreshing to hear someone love what they do so much." They discovered shared interests in hiking, old bookstores, and obscure documentaries. Michael found himself laughing more than he had in years, especially when Emily recounted her disastrous attempt at making sourdough bread during the pandemic. "The thing essentially turned into cement," she explained, eyes twinkling. "My neighbor's kid asked if he could use it for his science project on fossils." Dinner arrived, salmon for her, pasta for him, and the conversation continued to flow naturally. Michael felt something stirring inside him, a warmth he'd almost forgotten was possible. There was an intelligence and kindness to Emily that drew him in, made him want to know more about her. "So," Emily said as they shared a chocolate dessert, "Jessica mentioned you're in finance? What's that like?" Michael nodded. "Investment analysis. It sounds drier than it is. I basically help companies figure out where to put their money for the best return. I like the puzzle of it, finding patterns in markets that others might miss." "And outside of work?" Emily asked, her fork poised over the last bite of chocolate torte. The question was innocent enough, but Michael felt the familiar tightness in his chest. This was the moment when he had to decide whether to reveal the most important part of his life. He began, then took a sip of water. "I have a daughter. Lily. She's 6. Emily's expression remained open, curious. "That's a lovely age. What's she like?" Michael felt the tension in his shoulders ease slightly. "She's amazing. Smart, funny, stubborn as they come. She's obsessed with space right now, knows more about the planets than I do." "She sounds wonderful," Emily said, and the warmth in her voice seemed genuine. "Her mom," Michael continued, feeling he needed to complete the picture, "passed away 2 years ago. Car accident." Emily's hand moved across the table, briefly touching his. "I'm so sorry, Michael." The simple sincerity in her voice nearly undid him. He nodded, not trusting himself to speak for a moment. "It's been a journey," he finally managed. "But Lily is resilient. We're doing okay." "Children are remarkably adaptable," Emily agreed. Much more so than adults, sometimes. Something in her tone made Michael wonder if she was speaking from experience, but before he could ask, their server appeared with the check. They had a friendly tussle over who would pay, eventually agreeing to split it. As they stepped outside into the cool evening air, Michael found himself reluctant for the night to end. "Would you like to walk for a bit?" he asked, gesturing toward the park across the street. "It's a beautiful night." Emily hesitated, checking her watch. "I should probably get home soon," she said, regret evident in her voice. "But I've really enjoyed tonight, Michael." "Me too," he said, surprised by how much he meant it. "Maybe we could do it again sometime?" Emily's smile faltered slightly. She looked down, then back up at him, something resolute settling in her expression. "Before you ask me out again, there's something you should know," she said. "You've been honest with me, and I need to be honest with you." Michael felt a chill that had nothing to do with the evening breeze. Emily took a deep breath. "You can leave. I'm a single mom." The words came out in a rush, as if she'd rehearsed them but still found them difficult to say. "I have an 8-year-old son, Noah. His father isn't in the picture." The restaurant fell silent as Emily's words hung in the air between them. Michael's coffee cup froze halfway to his lips, his mind racing back to all the times he'd heard those exact words himself, only he'd been the one saying them. For 2 years since losing his wife, he'd watched potential relationships crumble the moment he mentioned his daughter. And then, Michael did something that would change both their lives forever. He laughed. Not mockingly or nervously, but with genuine relief. "Emily," he said, reaching for her hand, "did you miss the part where I told you I'm a single dad?" Her eyes widened. "No, but most men I've dated see it as a deal-breaker. Once they find out about Noah, they suddenly remember early meetings or forgotten appointments." Michael shook his head. "I know exactly what you mean. I've watched women practically sprint for the exit when I mention Lily." He squeezed her hand gently. "But I think you and I might actually have an advantage here. We already understand what it means to put a child first." The tension in Emily's shoulders visibly relaxed. "You really don't mind?" "Mind? Emily, it makes me like you even more," Michael said honestly. "You're raising a child on your own, running your own business, and still somehow manage to create rainwater collection systems that apparently change lives." Emily laughed, the sound bright and unguarded for the first time that evening. "They're just gardens, Michael." "Important gardens," he insisted with a grin. "Anyway, I think your son sounds great. Lily's always saying she wishes she had a brother or sister." Emily's eyes danced with amusement. "Are you proposing an arranged marriage between our children on our first date?" "Absolutely not," Michael said with mock seriousness. "At least wait until the second date for that conversation." They both laughed, and Michael felt something shift between them, a new openness, the relief of having crossed a bridge they had both feared. "So, about that second date," Emily said, her dimple making an appearance. "What did you have in mind?" "Well," Michael replied, feeling bold, "what would you think about a family picnic? You, me, Noah, and Lily? No pressure, just kids playing while adults attempt conversation between interruptions." Emily's face lit up. "That sounds perfect, actually. Noah's been asking when I'm going to make a new friend he can play with. Lily would be thrilled. She's been trying to set me up with her art teacher for months." "Ah, the matchmaking offspring," Emily nodded sagely. "Noah once tried to give my phone number to our male veterinarian." "Did it work?" Michael asked. "The vet was happily married with 3 kids," Emily laughed. "But he did offer me a discount on Noah's goldfish checkup." They exchanged phone numbers, lingering by Emily's car as if neither wanted the evening to end. "I should go," Emily finally said. "My mom is watching Noah, and she has church early tomorrow." "Of course," Michael nodded. "I promised Lily I'd bring her dessert anyway." Emily reached into her purse and pulled out a small paper bag. "Here," she said, handing it to him. "It's a chocolate croissant. I asked the server to wrap one up when you were in the restroom. I thought your daughter might like it." Michael stared at the bag, oddly moved by the gesture. "You got this for Lily? Before you even knew if you liked me?" Emily shrugged, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. Kids shouldn't miss out on dessert just because their parents are on a date. In that moment, Michael knew he was in trouble. The good kind of trouble. The kind that made his heart feel too big for his chest. "Thank you," he said simply. As he watched Emily drive away, Michael stood in the parking lot feeling as if something important had just begun. He wasn't naive enough to think it would be easy, 2 single parents, 2 children, 2 lives with their own complications, but for the first time in 2 years, he felt a door opening instead of closing. The drive home was filled with thoughts of Emily, her laugh, her dimple, the way she'd thought of Lily without even meeting her. He tried to temper his enthusiasm, reminding himself that one good date didn't guarantee anything. And yet, he couldn't help the hope blooming in his chest. Emma was reading on the couch when he arrived home, the house quiet except for the soft background music from her phone. "How was your meeting?" she asked with knowing emphasis on the last word. "It was really nice," Michael admitted. "Is Lily asleep?" "Out like a light. She tried to wait up for you and made it until about 8:30. Michael handed Emma her payment plus a generous tip. "Thanks for watching her on such short notice." "Anytime, Mr. Taylor. Lily's the easiest kid ever." Emma gathered her things, then paused at the door. "You know, it's okay to be happy again. Lily wants that for you." Before Michael could respond, she was gone, leaving him to wonder when the college freshman had gotten so wise. He climbed the stairs quietly and pushed open Lily's door. She was fast asleep, her stuffed astronaut tucked under one arm, dark curls splayed across the pillow. Michael placed the chocolate croissant on her nightstand where she would find it in the morning, then leaned down to kiss her forehead. "Love you, Lillipad," he whispered. Back in his room, Michael sat on the edge of the bed, emotions swirling. He reached for the framed photo of Sarah on his nightstand, her laughing at the camera, hair windblown from a day at the beach. "I met someone tonight," he told the photograph quietly. "I think you'd like her." The silence that followed wasn't as painful as it once had been. Michael changed into pajamas and climbed into bed, checking his phone one last time before turning out the light. There was a new message from Emily. "Noah says I was smiling too much when I got home and wants to know if I made a friend. I told him maybe. Thank you for tonight." Michael smiled into the darkness, typing back, "Lily's going to interrogate me about her chocolate croissant's origin story in approximately 6 hours. Worth it. Good night, Emily." Saturday morning brought pancakes shaped like rockets, at Lily's insistence, and a detailed account of Michael's meeting that somehow managed to omit key details while still conveying his enthusiasm. "So, is she nice?" Lily asked, drowning her pancake in syrup despite Michael's subtle attempts to limit the sugar tsunami. "Very nice," Michael confirmed. "She designs gardens for a living." Lily's eyes widened with interest. "Real gardens? With flowers and stuff?" "Yep. Big ones, for whole communities to enjoy." "Cool," Lily nodded approvingly. "Is she pretty?" Michael pretended to consider this carefully. "I suppose she is, yes." "As pretty as Mommy?" The question caught Michael off guard, though he knew he should have anticipated it. He set down his coffee cup and looked at his daughter seriously. "No one is as pretty as Mommy was," he said gently. "But Emily is pretty in her own way." Lily seemed to accept this answer, methodically cutting her pancake into tiny pieces. "Will I meet her? Would you like to?" Michael asked carefully. Lily nodded. "If she makes gardens, maybe she knows about Saturn's rings. They're made of ice particles, you know."